Okay, Teddy, if you have gone through the history of my videos, excluding the dospook videos, you'll see that I'm not one for social or civil appropriation or appropriateness, I'll say. I've outwardly and with ad hominems or straw man attacks or whatever, I've just gone in and just done my thing. So, as stupid as you might think my videos are, or as rude or as obnoxious or whatnot, however you look at it, now that I got that out of the way, I'll have a civil discourse with you. Because I think that there's this underlying notion like, hey, look, all these paltry, vulgar 101 people online don't know crap. And I've read Leibniz and Heidegger. But the funny thing is that um, the language. You want to say that Heidegger's encapsulated all. I mean, if you look at, I think it's your second video, or maybe it was on the third one. You're like Heidegger encapsulated all of what was possible in language. Well, um, Campbell, right? Now you've read some Joseph Campbell. He talks of the mythic stratus, and Bullfinch it brings up mythos and to make the literary comparisons and the histories of these particular authors. They're going to go to places where Heidegger didn't, and Wittgenstein already has. Heidegger didn't formalize logic and come up with truth tables. Wittgenstein did, right? And so to know and to kiss ass and to say that Heidegger is this demigod over philosophy is just you being schooled by him. And I guess Nate and I in the comments were trying to bring up like, hey, you can flip the bird to the mores on YouTube, but in the end, you can keep the books behind you. I don't even keep them in my place anymore. That's old hat. At one point, you're going to have to do some thinking for yourself and off the cuff and start iterating that. But you're in school, you're doing papers and stuff, so keep your heads in the books. Don't let me or don't let the YouTube community dissuade you. Anyway, on to my points here. You even say here now, you say everything depends on how we think what the word, sign, and name say. So my question to you is, what do you mean by we? And if your answer has anything to do with, well, I'm in this whole world. I'm a mind in the world, and here's these other minds in this world, and they're all going through the same existential awe. What is it that binds this awe with that other person's awe? Meaning, where is the we, if not in the public discourse, if not in a descriptive factor of of something that is shared? Kind of like, I argue, the grammar of our language is shared. So I say, think of something in your monologue. Now extract all grammatical rule from it. Is it, can you make an expression that does not sound like a babble? Can you? And I will say no, or yes, but it will come out quite poetic, right? Because the rules, the grammatical rules, are also within the subject. Now, this you may think that I don't understand what you're getting at when you say, and when you're quoting the sign and its relative context, the sign and its grammatical setting, the sign and the need for the sign, like your last quote in your third video, the sign and all of its totality have to, in that last quote you gave, have to come about at the same time. Well, that was a contention by that author. I'll say that no, there is a natural description of how it is, signs and context, signs and grammatical setting, series of signs, and what it means to become phonic and what it means to not become phonic. I lately love Derrida, and I think that after Heidegger, perhaps you need to read of grammatology. I just happen to love that book of his, and he speaks about Heidegger and Desson in other reads of Heidegger quite in depth, and it was quite fascinating. Now, if I had a question, it was rhetorical, right? I wasn't actually asking, well, how do you explain a sign? Meaning, I hold my contentions dear to me, and I mean, these are my thoughts on the matter. So, the categorical imperative, instead of walking into an office building and saying computer, 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 person, 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 we say computers, plural, and people, plural. So, we have a categorical imperative, a word which can allow us to step back from the initial naming and categorize a plurality, meaning to make category. This is just one set of consideration. It's not just the pronunciation of computer, computer, computer. It's the renunciation of what it is to have a set of computers. Wittgenstein calls this a class of cases, and then he breaks everything into aphorisms and starts speaking about things in different segments. Now, this is different than the literary dialogue that you're going to get in Heidegger. Okay? So, anyway, the grammatical process is done when we note and we inherit what it is to note things as similar or kindred to one another in any angle of perspective. I could say computer, 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 but these ones are yellow and these ones are red, or we can break things down. These people are short, these people are tall, these ones are, any class of cases, any class of description. These are all things. Now, the sign gesture that you were giving, right? The flip the bird, like, oh well, that's more of a recognition. Well, is it a recognition of your initial statement about you're going to give the bird to the mores, or were you flipping off the crowd, or is the crowd allowed to interpret it, or am I able to defer, like you're not flipping me off? Because maybe you were flipping me off. And then am I supposed to intone and note my own emotive reaction to this and then control it within a certain posturing? I don't, I'm not asking. I'm just throwing it out, right? That's a rhetorical question. So there's an array, a milieu, a motley of interpretations even on that sign that go beyond just recognition of that sign. Um, anyway, it's interesting that you would like me to steer away from all social or public play and claim, because what you're going to espouse of Heidegger, you're going to put him on a higher pedestal of consideration. And this angle of approach, I think, is ironic because Heidegger reads into Nietzsche, and Nietzsche despises priestly classes. Now, even though Heidegger and Derrida and Nietzsche and Wittgenstein, they're all within the categorical thrusts that are now on the map within the canon of philosophy for study. These guys are the priestly classes we're supposed to adhere to, we're supposed to read. But have you read Stettin? Have you read Bullfinch? You're like name dropping all this, like because you want other people to share the context that you share. Even if we did read the same books, what I'm extracting from the book is going to be specifically different and specifically common to what it is that you're wanting. So the desire for somebody to be your clone or have followed through your schooling is nice. It just sounds like you're expressing that you're lonely and that you need somebody to talk about these particulars with. But I mean, I think you'll be hard pressed to find somebody who has read the same books and only the same books and extracts things the same way and expresses the things the same way that you do. So I do think that you think Heidegger is some sort of demigod and that you're adhering to him, and you think that that everybody else is the nucleus around the Heideggerian cell, and that the ulterior X, the exterior of this cell is what Heidegger is encapsulated. I just think that's so wrong-headed. It's the ode towards something that Nietzsche was so incredibly against. Um, anyway, your question is, why would language be the house of being? Being in language. That is your question. Well, that's somebody's question. Anyway, I'll just go on to the next topic and espouse a little more babble and see what the response is like.